Thank you guys so much for joining me. We are with the amazing Shannon O'Brien. She is the owner of Love2Sugar. She will be a speaker at this year's Esthetician Summit 2023 in April. Shannon, you and I have a long history
Yes, mama.
together
Hmm.
before you were sugared, like that long ago, right? You
I
came to my
learned, I
first wax
learned,
show,
I came to your first wax show, but I also learned to wax the 7 minute Brazilian
right?
from you
Right. You
way
came to
back
my
in the
place at the
day
church, right? You
when
came
I
to the
was
church.
waxing. When I was waxing, which I wasn't very good at it, and you wanted me to do it in 7 minutes. So I just got estheticians to come to my spa that were better than me.
Oh gosh.
Hmm.
Shannon, believe it or not, used to sugar me.
Hmm.
He was very important in our creation of sugar that we had with Say Brazil all those years ago. A lot of people don't even know. I'm like, I had a sugar. I had a cold sugar. I had two pastes. They weren't that great, but I dabbled in the sugar world, but then I left it up to Shannon. I came to Shannon all the way up until I moved to Texas.
Yeah.
So she has been sugaring me for a while. We have done, I still think our video that we did talking about waxing versus sugaring is still being watched to this day
It
on YouTube.
is. It
Like
is.
it's so crazy.
It is.
But
You know,
you have come a long way. You are now the Sugar
doing
Mama master.
I'm
So
doing all the things.
tell us all about the world of sugaring because you came from waxing. And that's the thing I think that a lot of people don't realize.
Well, that's all there was. At least that's all we thought there was.
Right.
In school, you learned how to put wax on, rip wax off.
Right.
That's what you learned.
Right.
And I was fine at it. I wasn't great at it. And I didn't click with it, which is fine. Whatever is what it is. I was really good at facials. And then I became a day spa owner and had other people that were really good at it
Yeah.
do it because, know your lane, right?
And it's a moneymaker. I mean, let's be honest. It's consistent. Hair removal is consistent in general.
Oh, I always knew that I would be doing something. I never ever thought in my wildest dreams that I would be like the queen of sugar and hoo-haws. If you'd have told me that back in the day, I would have, I just thought I was a day spa owner. But I knew that hair removal was super important,
Right.
which is why I got people that were better at it than I at the time to do it because I knew
Right.
that it was, a must have, right? It's just we all need to offer it in
We
one
do.
shape or the other.
We
We
do.
do. We're going to have beautiful smooth skin. We can't have beautiful smooth skin with, crazy hormonal hairs sticking out or, a lip full of hair or, eyebrows that are crazy. I mean, honestly, and the thing is you don't want to send them to anybody else.
No.
You want them to get all of the things done with you. If you're doing a beautiful anti-aging facial, you don't want to say, "Oh yeah, but I don't do hair removal. You got to go down the street." Nope. So, yeah. So I'll tell you my journey. I moved down. I owned a day spa in Lake Tahoe. I moved down to Sacramento and I was kind of starting all over again, getting a new clientele. And I used to travel from Tahoe to Sacramento to come to your classes back when I was waxing.
Good Lord.
But then I moved down to Sacramento and I was at happy hour. And this girl was telling me how she had to go get sugared tomorrow. And I was embarrassed. I'm an esthetician. I didn't even know what that was. So I'm like, sugar, what do you mean? In my mind, like everyone thinks at first, they're like, thought it was body sugar,
Mm-hmm.
like a
Scrub.
scrub.
Get a scrub. Mm-hmm.
Right. And she's like, no, and she told me all about it. So I went and had it done. Now, this says a lot because you're tough. I'm a wuss. Like like big fat wuss. Like this is known about me if you know me well. I am a wuss when it comes to anything done to me. I can happily sugar, wax, tweeze, anything all day long. Do it to me and I'm a wuss. So when I went and got sugared and it was really a pleasurable experience, I got a Brazilian. I couldn't believe I did it. And it wasn't that bad. And it wasn't hot and it didn't burn
Right.
me. And
Right.
the
Right.
girl was skilled. It was great. And so I thought, okay, I need to quickly learn how to do this. Now, that was back in 2009 when you remember the recession hit and it hit us
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, I had taken that certification course back in the day. And I wasn't very good at it to start, I admit, but kept learning and kept learning and kept learning and just got really, really good at it. And people, because I'm so shy, people were like, you really should be an educator.
Right.
And so I started educating for other companies and realized that there just wasn't enough education out there on how to sugar properly
Mm.
because everything was done tableside at the
Sure.
time. And so you could get 2 people to learn, 4 people maybe. And so I partnered with some tech gurus and we put the first ever online certification up. And mind you, I've been teaching for a long time at this point. And I am actually a credentialed elementary school teacher. I don't know how many of the audience know that. I'm a credentialed elementary school teacher. I used to teach the 4th grade before I got into aesthetics.
Not
So
you.
y'all are just a bunch of big kids that I'm teaching. That's
Right.
all. So
Right.
I had the education background by bachelor's degree. I had the sugaring and aesthetics background at this point. I'd been an esthetician for, gosh, 12 years, I think by then. And then I added this on. So we started iSugar University, and that was great. We were teaching people all over the world how to sugar the proper way. And what we do is we teach them brand neutral, and
Mm.
then the sugar companies accept their certification. And so they can then purchase from whichever pro company they choose. I'm all about the pro companies.
Yes.
So, right. And then it just kept growing and kept growing. And we started the Sugar Show podcast, and I was interviewing, you were one
Yes.
of the guests way
Yes.
back in the day.
Yes.
And then we did the perfectly sugared Brazilian, and we did that at the same time that you and I did that sugar and wax
Hmm.
video. And we really started to help people and their businesses grow with hair removal, specifically sugar. So now we have an app that they can go on for free, and the library is all there. We have the Sugar Tribe, which is all our advanced babes lifting each other up. It's a beautiful community. And we've really taken this thing that was kind of a mystery before, like, what is this sugaring thing you speak of?
Yeah.
And we made it more known. And now you can't miss the sugar TikToks
Yeah.
and people really promoting their businesses with sugar, which is really, really fun to see. Plus it's, fun to watch. It's kind of a pretty, it's, lemon, sugar, and water condensed down into a paste. And so it's really a beautiful sight to see.
So let's get in our questions.
All right.
So why is sugaring still a mystery to so many estheticians? What is it? What is the mystery? Why? Why are we still, what is it? What do you mean?
I think to start, it's the schools.
Yeah.
The schools teach wax. I think sugar is a tiny little paragraph in the textbook. A lot of aesthetic teachers don't know how to sugar. We're trying to
True.
work on that, but a lot don't know how, so they don't, they don't teach it. It's not required by state board yet to learn how to do.
Right.
So it's not a priority at the school level.
Right.
And then when people get out, they're so busy perfecting their facial skills and their waxing skills that it's kind of like the next thing they take a look at if they haven't already heard of sugaring. And then, honestly, I think it's growing so much now. Like, it was a super mystery, and now it's kind of just that thing that people know about, but they're not really sure if they should start trying to do.
Right.
It looks kind of hard because you use your glove and a hand, and you're not using a stick or strips. It's just kind of
Right.
the opposite direction of waxing and what they're
Yes.
used to. So honestly, I think that it's becoming more popular and not this, shrouded mystery. But it's definitely still not as popular as waxing.
Would you say that estheticians would have a better understanding if it was taught in schools? Do you really think that if it was taught in schools or discussed as an option for hair removal, right?
Yes.
Shown in school,
Yes.
that we would have a completely different understanding of it and have an option to it? Because here's why I asked that question specifically, because we go over shaving, we go over depilatories,
Mm-hmm.
we even talk about epilating,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about laser,
Mm-hmm.
talk about electrolysis, we talk
Mm-hmm.
about threading.
Mm-hmm.
Sugaring is a sentence now.
Yeah.
That old Egyptian way of hair removal by the Egyptians, sugaring. And then that's it. We jump to everything else. Like,
Yeah.
if it was explained better,
Mm-hmm.
would we see it a little bit in a better light? Because I do think that sugaring is in a negative light because of the loudmouths who talk about whether it's overuse or their hands were hurting or they didn't go to someone that sugared well and they got skin lifted. Like, I think that it's not elaborated from school on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we're
there's no
working on
one
that.
doing, right. You were the only one doing postgraduate education in sugaring,
Yeah. For a long
right?
time, I was. Yeah. Yeah, the sugar companies, they have hands-on training. Some of them have seen what we're doing with Love2Sugar, and so they've, kind of put together their own. Ours is really unique because we're able to really wrap our arms around you in a virtual way. And then we love the sugar company, so we send them off that way. Gosh, there's so much to unpack there because I think there's two ways I can answer that question. The first way is the answer is yes. If schools would bring on and introduce sugaring, which we can help them with if they are listening to this,
Right.
if schools would bring on a more broad explanation of what sugaring is, it would be more, I don't want to say accepted, but there would just be more knowledge
It would be
around it. And so you
recognized.
could, yeah, and so you could make a good decision on whether that seems right to you. I think that surprisingly, there are more and more schools that are getting savvy
Mm-hmm.
and understand that it sets their school apart if
Mm-hmm.
they offer sugar education, and we can help them with that. But if they offer that sugar education, it gives them yet another thing that their school offers that sets them apart from any other school down the street.
True.
So I think there are some really savvy schools that are bringing on sugar education. And some of them actually offer certification programs, kind of if they have advanced courses that they bring in, maybe it's eyelash training or,
Right.
kind of that next level, they'll bring it in on a Sunday
Right.
and have an all day class. They open their school to that. There's a lot more schools that are doing that, thankfully. But the goal is to obviously spread the word more. And what's funny is it's not us versus them. It's not
Right.
me versus you. You know, I've been talking about this for years. It's not
Yeah.
waxing versus sugaring,
No.
and that's why you're having me. One of the many reasons why you're having me at the
Right.
summit, right?
Right.
Because there's plenty of bodies, there's plenty of techniques. It's not waxing versus sugaring. It's here are the techniques on how you can remove hair.
We don't say
Red.
shaving versus nair and depilatories.
No, it's
Like,
here are
I
the
think
options.
for people, when I tell them, I'm like, okay, so I've been sugaring now. Oh God, let's say I go by how Celine. So Celine was 6 when we started coming to you. So
Yeah.
she's 16. So 10 years,
Yeah.
I've been getting sugared, right? People don't know that. And I'm very open with it. I say, and the reason I jumped to sugar was because once I had laser done, waxing did not respond the same to my hair. It broke it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed something that was going to wrap around the root, which is what sugar does, and remove it whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
And laser, if a lot of people don't realize about laser, is that it's for some, like myself, it was a hit or miss. So some hair responded, some didn't. So the ones that responded are super thin. The ones that didn't are super thick because I'm hormonal now. So I had such a really weird range. And then when I came to you and you were like, oh, your hair is fine. I'm like, no, it ain't. Like, I just tried to wax last month. And
I love your hair.
right?
I love your bits.
Right? And I'm just like, no. But I think that the thing why you and I are always on, it's not versus because you and I have been educated about all of the hair removal modalities, and there's enough people for everybody. But I do think that there is a very unique space for sugaring that needs to be said. I don't sugar as much. I'm up to only, where am I at now? 8 times a year? 6.
Because it lasts.
Yeah, it does. And I love that, right? When I say that, but unfortunately, waxing does not get that. It won't give us that. We won't cut down to 8 times a year or 6 times a year. We can't, it doesn't get that for us. Laser helped me get that to that place, but the sugaring response and the education of sugaring is definitely a niche business that will guarantee you income. So let's talk about that. Why did you decide to niche in sugar and offer sugaring the way you do? Why did you decide to jump there? Well, one, I know the story. So why don't you share the story about, because the one that you went to, she was no longer, right? Because she was a sugar queen in Sacramento, wasn't she?
She was like the underground sugar queen. So
Yeah.
you're referring to the woman that I trained from.
Yes, yes, yes.
And she was the only one I'd even heard of. I looked
Me too.
around, I got sugared by her, and she doesn't even live here. She lives in Quebec. And she moved literally like a month after I learned. So I had no support,
Oh, wow.
which is why God has a plan. That's why I went
Right.
on the journey, right?
Right.
Because I wanted more education. I wanted to get better. I wanted other people to get better. I wanted, um, but I can honestly say that really education, this gal was kind of underground because she was so busy and she didn't have the time. You don't see me a ton promoting my SugarMama's business in Folsom because we're booked.
Right. Right.
Right. That's the other thing that we don't really talk about is
No.
a lot of people don't talk about sugaring because our books are full. I had the little Yelp guy, you know how they call you all the time. Oh, you got to pay for Yelp. Oh, you got to get on Yelp. I said, please don't, because I'm too busy. I cannot have I really want beautiful Yelp reviews, which we have like 5-star reviews. We have, I think we're at 4.9 because one girl a few years ago kept arriving late. And so we asked her to go find another hair removal therapist specialist. And she was upset about that. She
Okay.
was late. We asked her to go find someone else because we were too busy, and she gave us the low score.
Yeah, whatever.
So that's why we don't have a perfect 5 stars.
Right.
Um, but I think that a lot of people don't talk about it because they're busy.
They are busy.
Yeah.
They are busy. And
Yeah.
it was hard. I said when I moved, and I remember I kept calling you, I'm like, I'm coming back so I can get my appointment. I want to go to people who only sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Call me rude, call me whatever you want. I only want to go to the people who sugar because you're perfecting your sugar. I don't want to go the ones that jump back and forth between wax and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be perfecting your
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah. And that's why I chose this, because it was something that I felt passionate about, which was, hey, this is different. It really set me apart. So your original question, the answer to that is this really set me apart. It was in the recession. There was plenty of people who could wax, but when I put sugar on their skin and smoothed their eyebrows or got their bikini right, and it was a pleasant experience. It's all natural. We have a laugh. I let them eat it, obviously, before I sugar them.
Right.
But I let them eat it. We have a laugh. It's a pleasurable experience. I realized I had something. I realized that it set me apart and I was going to get known for it. In fact, my clients named me the Sugar Mama.
Wow.
And that was 14 years ago. No, longer than that. 2010. Yeah, 14 years ago, 9. Guys, I can't believe I'm 23. But it was 14 years ago. And they were like, everybody needs a Sugar Mama in their speed dial. And that's how I got the name the Sugar Mama. And I've been the Sugar Mama ever since.
Wow.
And I was a single mom. I'd moved to a new city. Recession hit, like all the check marks that like a business should not thrive. And our business soared.
Right.
I had to bring on more people. Now I have 4 estheticians that are sugaring for me. My business had to replace me and all of the people I was sugaring with 4 people to keep up with what I was doing. I was literally sugaring 20 Brazilians a day, 6 days a week. And if I could have opened up on Sundays, they would have taken those appointments too.
Do you find that that's common with really good sugar people? And why
Yes.
are we not talking? Why are sugaristas not talking about that?
Because
Is it
they're
because
too busy.
they're busy?
Listen, if I have my hands on someone's brows or in someone's bikini or on someone's legs covered in sugar, and I'm going 20 a day, I don't have time to get on socials. In fact, I don't want to get on socials.
Yeah.
These people that are on socials all the time that are sugaring, I'm like, I don't understand how you have the time.
Oh, wow.
How do you have the time if your books are busy, which if you know how to run a sugar business well, you should have no time for social media, which is why you don't hear about it a lot. So That's my job, is to worry about that and to
Right.
let those girls be successful, let them kill it in their businesses. And my job with Love2Sugar is to get other estheticians, because to be honest, I would happily have other estheticians join on board in my town so that we could have more bodies to send people to.
Oh, wow.
I know. Isn't that odd? Everyone said, why are you teaching people how to sugar in your town? That isn't that creating competition? I'm like, do you know how many people live in Folsom alone, let alone Sacramento, Granite Bay, Elk Grove, all these neighboring towns? I don't have enough time to sugar all the people. That's my problem, Steph. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be too busy or too booked to be on social media or to be promoting myself. People all the time, when I have to be careful going to chamber events, because I'll go to a chamber event and they're like, this is the SugarMama. And 6 people are like, oh my God, I want to try sugar. Can I get on your books? I'm like, no, love you, but no.
That's a great problem.
It's a great problem to have.
That's a recession-proof problem.
Yes, my friend. Which is what I'm trying to share. But it's hair removal in general, right? So you and I talk
Hair
about
removal,
waxing.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, I do think that it's fascinating that you have that you found your niche. Sugaring is your niche. You've grown your business. You've grown it for years, and you've sustained that growth as you have continued. You was just you. Now you have a team of 4, so there's 5 of you, because I know you're down to what, one day? You're only sugaring
half a day.
Half a day.
Let's just clarify. My staff only gives me half a day because they need the rooms. So my little half day is reserved for people like you that I know, that I can squeeze into that little half day. Because literally, as soon as 1 o'clock hits, they moved me to 12:30. So there's time to turn the room around, because 1 o'clock, Cassidy's at it.
Wow.
I know. It's funny. People are like, oh, you only work half a day. I'm like, that's all the time. I'd have to build a bigger studio. That's all the time. That the only room that's available is Wednesday mornings. I know.
Did you think you would be here with sugaring like that?
No. Mm-mm. Nope. I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah. When I would sugar you back in the day, it was just me in a room,
It was.
I had no idea. And, so you and I talked about the sugaring versus waxing thing. And back when we sat down, I think that was 8-9 years ago that we sat down and had that conversation of sugaring versus waxing. And I niched into the sugar space, right? Yeah. But it wasn't against wax. It was more like, wow, I'm good at this. It sets me apart. And honestly, that's where I fell softly and grew exponentially.
Yes.
So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I just kept improving what I was doing, the products I was using, the products I was selling at home. I love your post-care products with sugar.
Right.
And so, honestly, we can have the hair removal conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Because it is the gateway to all the rest of your skincare.
It is.
It really is. And that's why we get along so good, because we get that. I mean, besides the fact that we're super amazing humans.
Right. Right. No.
And we have a whole lot of fun together and all of that. But really, there is no competition here, because whatever is best for you and your skill level and what you're used to and what you're comfortable with, that's what you should do. But you should absolutely include hair removal. Don't say, oh yeah, I don't do brows. Oh yeah, I don't do hair removal. I send those people down the street. Because I'll tell you right now, they will lose those clients, because that person probably also does skincare.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Don't lose your clients because you're not doing hair removal.
And I definitely think the hair removal being recession proof has always been the bread and the pudding. So much so, let's talk about this, that there's franchises that are jumping into the hair removal game on both sugaring side and waxing side. Waxing side's been a little bit longer, but there's quite a few sugaring. There's 2 that I know of that have jumped into the franchise game. What do you think about that? Now, I know that one of them, they make their own sugar and then they let the people have it, but we'll talk about that when we're at Summit. So you could share your thoughts on that.
Yes.
But do you think it's bad? Do you think that Well, here's what I do know, and you know this as well. Their parameters to be hired there is definitely higher than if they were to go to a waxing franchise, because they do want those people proficient. Like, they're not interested in training. They literally want to hire someone who's been sugaring to walk into that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I think with your listeners, especially, is to understand that you need to be solidly trained and have a lot of hands-on experience.
Yes.
And so I love the concept of a franchise to get the physical service out there. I love the concept of it. My hope for them is that they take the training seriously, and that if you are in one of those franchises, I don't have anything against franchises if the standard is up here.
Yes.
So you can cookie cutter the model. People ask me all the time if I'm going to franchise SugarMamas. And to be honest, it's having that many employees. I want to make sure that the standard is up here, right? I don't want to have 100 employees and 10 of them are good.
Right.
Right. So to me, you don't necessarily need to go bigger to be better.
Right.
But I think it's a good model if it's done well.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. So at the end of the day, I think what we're battling right now is the education.
Oh,
because there's
yeah.
plenty of people that just jump on YouTube and think they can do what we do. There's plenty of people that just, think, oh, I can make it myself.
Yes.
Oh, and it's like, really, at the end of the day, if you take your profession seriously, you learn as much as you can about that technique, and you get really, really, really good at it. And you have someone that is skilled to teach you the proper way, get you there quicker, because you're not going to do the trial and error thing like I did. I've been there, done that on all the parts.
Yep.
And one of the things that I think is so cool right now, on a side note, is dupes. I'm going to talk about dupes for a minute. The whole makeup dupes. You got to dupe for this, you got to dupe for that, right? We cannot be duped.
No.
These hands with a ball of sugar cannot be duped. So talk about recession proof, business proof. Do you remember you just said earlier in this episode, you said, yeah, I went back to get sugared by you, Shannon, because I was looking for someone and couldn't find someone who sugared. We get people all the time. They go on the Sugar Network, which is our directory, thesugarnetwork.com. They type in Sacramento, Dallas, wherever they are, and they find a sugar pro in their area based on the fact that they're on this sugar network, right?
Right.
Well, you can't just go home and try to sugar yourself. There are some strip sugar products out there, but they just don't work the same. And to be honest, I'm not that flexible. I cannot get all up underneath there the right way. Some people can, God bless them. They're probably 20.
It would just sit on mine. I just leave it there once it's on.
Yeah. And then the thought of actually flicking it off,
I don't want to.
And you can do it at home. I don't want to diss that. There are some people
Right.
that are very successful at it, and I'm sure we'll get the naysayers in the comments, but in the whole, you cannot be duped.
Right.
It is job security to put that sugar ball in your hand and sugar your clients well, with awesome training behind you. And it's why you don't see a lot of those super successful estheticians that sugar, those sugaring professionals that are killing it. You won't see them online. They're too busy.
Sometimes I watch some of them and I'm like, you're pulling too hard.
Yeah. You can see the skin pull.
Yeah.
Or they don't have gloves on.
Yeah. What is that?
Or they're not holding the skin when they go to flick.
That's a lot of body skin cells and hairs in that ball for you to just be putting it all over your hand.
Yeah.
But we still got folks waxing with no gloves, doing Brazilians with no gloves.
That's all right. We're working on it.
We're getting it.
TikTok by TikTok. We're trying to educate the best we can.
We're getting it. We're trying. We're trying. We're going to
talk about that for 1 second too. You and I could talk for hours, but if we talk about that for 1 second, you and I were the first to be on Periscope, and the Facebook before Facebook even had live.
Right. Oh God, we're starting to date ourselves now.
I know we're really dating ourselves. And then when this TikTok and Instagram and Reels and all this stuff came out, I'm like, are you serious?
I've been doing reels. Like, I'm like, I told someone that the other day. I'm like, my one talking about little boy with his little issues, that's a reel. I did that reel 15 years ago. That's still going around on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's
I
just so
know.
funny how we just sit back and watch. And we used to have like the pioneers, and I don't even consider myself a pioneer because I'm too young still. But I'm like, we've come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
You and I didn't start. And that's the thing I think people don't understand. And Maxine, I talked with her about this as well. We don't share our journey. We don't share that we had coaching to get to us to this level. It
Mm-hmm.
was not us on our own. And I wish more successful estheticians would be open the way Shannon and I are about talking about our process of getting here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about that. We're just like, oh, we're here. No, there was a journey.
Yeah. Don't judge your success now by our success
Right.
because it's taken us 15 years to get here,
Yes.
and we've trial and errored it. In fact, I wish I had a Shannon and a Stephanie back then. Actually, I had you in the very beginning of my 7-minute Brazilian, but with sugar, I wish I had a Shannon
Right.
to kind of cut through the stuff and
Yes.
help me 14 years ago.
Right.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we've come a long way, and it did not start pretty. In fact,
No.
I'm gonna have a podcast interview with my original clients, which were my buddies, because they can vouch for me that I was terrible at it when I first
Right.
started.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
Shannon, I always ask this too, because you are an esthetician, you were owner and all of this. Your success, where did you get to that place where you needed a coach, where you were getting ready to, you wanted to go to the next level and you said you wanted to coach? Everyone's coaching process is always different. So I like to ask this question. When did you say, I want to get to the next level? I don't know how, but I'm going to have to reach out to someone else to help me get there.
For me, it was more on the tech side for me because of the direction that I went. So that's a tiny bit different. In the beginning, when I was a day spa owner and I was all about facials, we didn't really have coaches then. We had kind of icons in the industry that hands-on taught classes, the Douglas Prestons, the Win Consulting. We didn't have life coaches and coaches. Now I'm really dating myself. We went to a class, we went to your event, and we took our training to the next level. We went to advanced classes, and that's where we learned. I learned a ton from your waxing summit.
Right.
What was that? 12 years ago? I
Yes.
learned a bunch from that. Or if we had a skincare company, they had a big training. Or back in the day, we would go to the trade shows and go to their classes, but they would teach about business and they would teach about their products. So now the coaching piece, there's so many great coaches out there. And I want to talk about that for just a minute. Thank you for bringing that up, because you and I have talked about this for a long time. Audience, please, 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 please take a look at the experience the educator has before you go giving them your money. Please, please, please vet them a little bit harder than, wow, their reel looks pretty, I'm going to give them, $8.99 of my money. And you get in the back end and it's all just iPhone videos.
I think you, me, and a couple other people were involved with, there's like 5 or 6 estheticians that are out like 10, 15 G's for some pseudo coaches. It was right around the end of the year. I feel so bad. I feel so bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that lost a lot of money with so-called experts, and they just didn't do their homework. And so I feel for you all that went through that.
Yeah.
And I say that, honestly, ask us, hey, you heard of this educator? Have you heard of that? There's a lot of really good ones out there. Remember, I have a bachelor's in education. I have years of experience as a day spa owner and a solo and all of those things. I didn't just I'm pretty good at sugar. I think I'll,
Right.
have a training course,
Right.
and you are the same. Like we've been
Well,
doing
we
this a
had to. This
long
was how
time.
it worked when we started. You couldn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to train people. That's not how it went when we started aesthetics. You
Nope.
had to have not only years behind you, but you had to have proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the difference between now because everybody's so instant.
Yeah.
They want instant fame. Oh, I went viral on TikTok, so I can go coach and take people's money.
I
No.
know, look at me. Yeah. And that's the other reason why sugar isn't as popular is because they get sugar online or they get it at a show and a company might sell to them, but they're not certified. And then they put the glove on and they take it out and they try to put it on their hand. It is not as easy as we make it look.
Absolutely not.
And they quit.
Yes, they do.
Or they keep at it the best they know. And that's why they hurt people.
Yeah. Oh, I've been hurt too.
Mm-hmm. So ASCP, I do a lot of work with them, and I know you do as well on, making sure that people are educated properly. And they said 60% of their claims are from waxing accidents.
Yep.
And I said, oh, and you probably don't have any from sugar because, we wouldn't hurt anyone. And they were
No,
like,
you didn't.
oh, you'd
They
be
did.
surprised.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
will tell you that if you're properly certified, you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
The
Oh, no.
actual
Sugaring and waxing are high. So it's waxing and sugaring and then chemical peels for 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that pitiful?
And the only reason that it is that way is because of improper education for their sugar pros.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, with wax, if you dip your stick in a wax that's too hot, you're not going to know because it's on that stick.
Right.
If you are not trained well.
Right.
You put your hand in a sugar jar, you'll burn your fingers off. Not off. That's dramatic, but you'll burn your fingers.
You'll know. You'll know
because it's hot sugar.
Right.
It's hot sugar, and you won't be able to put it on a client. Yeah.
I am
so
always shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like ACA, I did for when I was on the stage, I think I did like the $95,000 Brazilian wax, and that was then the most highest. And now they've said they've exceeded. So there's been some other injuries that have happened since then. Here's the thing. The education can never, ever, you're right. It can't be duped. It can't be duplicated. When you invest in your education, and I always say this to the new ones that come in and they're in school, I'm like, your muscle memory has to be on top. Yeah. The reason you're pulling, and we had one school came in and they sugar. I said, the reason you need to learn how to pull that ball out of that jar is muscle memory.
Yep.
And you need to do it without looking at it.
Yep.
When I do waxing, I say, teachers, get them twirling sticks out. In school, we had to twirl before we could even get the wax out. So if you didn't have the dexterity to turn it, they wouldn't let you go into the can. Mm-hmm. I said, y'all throwing people on each other and waxing them on day one. No.
Yeah.
So
there are also some people that are going to be listening to this that think like, oh, I can't sugar. I'm not going to do Brazilians. And you don't have to do Brazilians. You could just do faces. You could just do underarms. You could just be the knuckles queen. I don't know. Right. But if you are doing a beautiful facial, especially if you tout yourself as a holistic or natural esthetician, or you tout yourself as someone who is really, really skilled at oncology aesthetics, sensitive skincare. If you are an esthetician that is your niche, you had better be sugaring because it is made of all natural ingredients used at room temperature, and it will not, when used properly, it will not cause injury to those skin types. And so I absolutely think that, get properly certified and you open the door to all kinds of clients you couldn't serve before.
It's true.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
Well, guys, we're at our 30 minutes. You guys know Shannon and I can talk forever. I can't wait for all of you guys at the Esthetician Summit to meet her. She's going to have sugar there. She's going to let some of y'all play in it. So you'll be able to come and put your hands in it and touch it and feel it and all that good stuff. And that's how we do. This is how we learn. This is why I'm putting this summit together, is so that you are exposed to different opportunities. Niching is a wonderful thing when you understand the niche and how you can niche. Not to say that some folks aren't doing well offering everything, but when you're I'm at year 20, Shannon, you're at 23, 22.
22.
We've niched. Yeah. We had to. Yeah. for us to be here this long, you have to niche.
Yeah.
So can't wait for you guys to meet Shannon. Shannon, thank you so much, of course,
As
coming on.
always.
We always have a great time.
Oh, we're going to have some fun in April.
Absolutely. We're going to have a great time. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.